Welcome back, everyone, to A-10 Live at Media Day here in Brooklyn, New York at the beautiful Barclays Center. I'm joined now by Fordham coach Tom Pecora. And Coach, before we launch into it, just wanted to let everyone know from a social media perspective, you can tweet questions to us at hashtag A10MBB. That's hashtag A10MBB, and we'll answer what we can on the air here. Great place to start is, here we are, Barclays Center. What does it mean with the new tournament format, just in particular for your program being here nearby in the Bronx, for this tournament to be here at Barclays Center and for everyone to be able to play in it?
Yeah, well, I think it's tremendous. You know, when we met in the spring as a conference and we talked about every conference ranked higher than us, we were the 6th ranked conference, I believe, in the country. Everyone comes to the tournament, so that was a no-brainer for that to happen. I think what takes place with that is now you have fan bases that are making plans in November instead of waiting to see if their teams are going to get in. I know last year we went up to Bonnie's and won a game, and that night the GW fans started to buy tickets and try to get hotel reservations. Well, you want to start a tradition, so now I think fan bases from every school, you know, they'll have a special hotel the majority of them are going to, and they'll be making plans in November to come here in this state-of-the-art arena. I mean, this place is just incredible.
It is. It's wonderful.
And this is what the A-10 is worthy of. Being one of the premier basketball conferences in the country, we should have our tournament in a venue like this in the greatest city in the world.
And you get a jump on making those plans, like you said, outstanding arena, great venue. Another thing we're getting a jump on is really from a television coverage perspective, the new TV package is just robust with CBS College Sports Network, NBC Sports Network, ESPN, 71 nationally televised games. How huge is that for this conference as a coach?
Well, it's tremendous for the conference, first and foremost, and then for each of us. You know, we all use it in recruiting. You know, kids want to know, parents want to know, how often am I going to be able to watch you play? And in the world we live in now, between FiOS or DirecTV or whatever cable network they have, they're going to see the majority of those games. So I just think that's tremendous for the league. And once again, it puts us in an upper echelon and makes us one of the premier conferences in the country.
One guy they're going to see for you, for sure, is Brandon Fraiser. Today selected preseason third-team all-conference. Nice for him to obviously, you know, get some accolades and some recognition by the coaches in certain media. What has he meant to your program throughout this rebuilding process, and what are you expecting out of him this year?
Well, Brandon, you know, he's always going to have a special place in my heart. You know, he was planning on coming to play for me at Hofstra, and he hadn't signed yet, but as soon as I took the Fordham job, he called and he said, "Coach, I'm coming with you." So, I mean, when that type of loyalty comes from a 17, 18-year-old high school senior, and he's come along and, you know, he came from a very successful program at Bishop Loughlin, and he's been through the growing pains with me over these past 3 years. And I thought he was playing as an all-conference level last year, and then just kind of got beat up and exhausted by mid-February. You know, I expect this year for him to be an all-conference level player. I think he's surrounded by more talent. I know he is. I think that'll take some of the burden off of him. But he's a multi-dimensional player. He can play with the ball in his hands, averaging 5 assists a game, but he can still score off the basketball. He's done a great job of getting himself bigger and stronger during his time with us at Fordham, and he's really become a good leader.
And you just alluded to it, you've added a lot of depth to this program over the time that you've been here. Mandel Thomas had a real sneaky good freshman season that I'm not sure, you know, everyone appreciates, and you've added John Sevier too. Can you talk about those young guards?
Yeah, you know, it's all about the product you put on the floor. So in our business, it's about depth and having talent so they can compete against each other every day in practice, and in turn, the intensity level in practice carries over into games, and they know how to go after each other. Mandel had a tremendous, I thought, late season last year. He really came on mid-January, had a huge game against Xavier, played very well against Butler. And if you can play well against those level teams, you know, you're going to be okay. A good off-season for him, and now as a sophomore, he's been tremendous the first couple weeks of practice, so I think that's important. John Sevier, you know, came in with all the accolades, New York State, New York City Player of the Year, won a city championship in the gym at Rose Hill for the CHSAA championship. Went upstate and had 70 points in 2 games in the state tournament to win a state championship. And I think he made a very smart, mature decision, because he's a young guy. When he's done playing basketball, at whatever age that might be, he wants to live in a metropolitan area. And we talk to our people all the time when we're recruiting him about, it's not 4 years, it's 40 years. And he's going to set himself up for the rest of his life by being a Fordham man. And he decided to do that, and also come somewhere where he knew he was going to get minutes. And he'll get a good amount of minutes, whether he's starting or not, time will tell, but he's going to play a lot of minutes. And he's really a special talent. People are going to enjoy watching him play.
From shifting from guard play to interior play. You've also got a real underrated and improving crop of big men. Can you just describe them and their skills and let people know, from around the conference who these kids are?
Yeah, well, they're an interesting bunch. They're big, they're physical. Ryan Canty's a junior, but had a big jump from his freshman to sophomore year, but was still a roller coaster year. So we're talking to him a lot about consistency. He'll have 15 rebounds one night, and then the next night he'll get in foul trouble and have to sit. He's very foul prone in certain games. So that's really just part of the maturation process for Ryan. I think our two big sophomores, Ryan Rooms, who comes to us after a freshman year, where he just had a great off season. He really lifted. He worked a lot on his free throw shooting, his ability to score about the basket, but he's a very competitive, big, tough, physical body, which is what you need in this league. And then Travion Leonard, who's a crowd favorite. Travion, we started recruiting. He was 6'8", 341 pounds. He's down to 268. He's in great shape conditioning-wise. He's doing things for 90 minutes now that when we first got him, he wasn't able to do for 10 or 15 minutes. Now we're going to add the basketball component to it, and I think not being exhausted all the time out there, Chris, is going to allow him to really make a big jump this year on the court.
With that depth and collectively, you've talked about how you really like the chemistry of this team. To wrap up, what does this team need to do to turn the corner in terms of the rebuilding process now a few years in?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of levels to it when you're trying to rebuild a program, and there's been a lot of heavy lifting, but I think one of the things that was tough for us last year was playing 20 of 31 on the road with a young team. That was just crazy, but we had to close out some contracts and fix a few things. So this year we play more home games. We have 16 home games. I think the experience of playing all those road games, the experience of a lot of guys playing last year because of some injuries to our veterans, all of those things are going to make us a better team this year. And I think we'll start seeing the fruits of our work, of our labor as we move forward this year.
It should be an exciting season, working your way through the Atlantic 10, and we're looking forward to seeing you back here in March. Thanks, Coach, so much for taking a few minutes with us here this afternoon. We'll be back with the next coach in a few minutes here on A-10 Live. Tom Pecora.